The date was set, the invitations sent, but my fiancé, the man I had loved since we were children, shattered our future in front of everyone. He did it for his young secretary, Chloe. He said he pitied her and wanted to give her a proper title. But he had forgotten about the curse that has plagued the women of my family for generations. Any woman who remains unmarried by her 25th birthday is doomed to a withering sickness, a creeping madness that consumes her until death provides the only escape. And I, after waiting 7 long years for him, would turn 25 next month. When I confronted him, his only reply was cold indifference. Why can't the three of us be happy together? I'll give her the title, but I'll give you my love. Do you honestly think you can find anyone better if you leave me? Alara, don't be so greedy. You were born with everything. Chloe is different, she has nothing. After 7 years together, he was certain I couldn't live without him. Later, when I married another man, he was the one who went mad. Mom, Dad. I don't want to marry Julian anymore. My mother's hands trembled, and the porcelain bowl she was holding slipped, shattering on the floor. My father's brow furrowed into a deep line, a heavy sigh escaping his lips. I knew exactly why they were so distressed. The curse was not a myth. My own aunt, a firm believer in her independence, scoffed at the family legend. The day after her 25th birthday, she descended into a wild, frantic madness. We took her to countless specialists, from renowned doctors to spiritual masters, but nothing could tether her back to reality. At 27, she escaped her caretaker, ran into the street, and was killed by a passing car, a tragic end to her short, tormented life. And my 25th birthday was less than a month away. I saw the terror in my parents' eyes. They feared I would walk my aunt's doomed path. I expected them to scold me, to tell me to endure, but instead, they wrapped their arms around me, their own tears streaming down their faces. We thought Julian was a good man, that he would be a safe harbor for you, my mother wept, her hand gripping mine tightly. We were so wrong. Don't you worry, Alara, my father added, his voice thick with emotion. Even if we only have a month, we will find a good man for you. We will not let our daughter suffer. A wave of warmth washed over me, my own eyes welling up. For so long, I had believed Julian was my destiny. We had known each other since he moved into the house down the street. He was a shy boy who followed me everywhere. The first day he saw me in my yard, he refused to go home. Julian's mother had laughed. It seems Julian is already smitten with Alara. It must be fate. You must promise to always protect her and cherish her, Julian, do you understand? Yes, little Julian had declared with a solemn, unwavering nod. He became my shadow, a constant, comforting presence. He was cool and distant with everyone else, but he saved all his warmth and affection for me. He walked me to and from school every day, intercepted and tore up any love letter that dared to find its way to my locker, and glared at any boy who got too close. He treated me like a precious gem, terrified I might suffer the slightest scratch. Our friends always teased, Alara has the young master of the right family wrapped around her little finger. If she says east, he wouldn't dare go west. I was naive enough to believe it was true. Julian promised we would marry the day we graduated. But after graduation, he said he wanted to build his own success, to give me a life of his own making, not one handed to him by his family. The next year, he said his company was at a critical stage, we would marry once it was stable. The third year, his company went public. I was turning 25. He had run out of excuses. I had foolishly believed he was building a foundation for our future. The truth was far more devastating, and her name was Chloe. Chloe had been my junior in college, a bright and clever girl whose education my family had sponsored. When she graduated and tearfully told me she couldn't find a good job, I recommended her to Julian, whose new company was hiring. He was hesitant at first. Alara, I don't need a personal secretary. My executive assistant is more than enough. He had even teased me, are you sure you want another woman so close to me? Aren't you afraid you'll get jealous? The discussion ended with me playfully pinching his side until he surrendered with a laugh. Initially, Chloe acted like our biggest supporter, always praising what a perfect couple we were. Don't you worry, Alara, she'd promised with a hand on her heart. I'll keep a close eye on Mr. Right for you. No funny business on my watch. I never asked her to, of course. I trusted Julian completely. But slowly, whispers began to circulate through his company. I gently brought it up with Julian, suggesting that for Chloe's own reputation, they should maintain a more professional distance. The next time I visited his office, my words were thrown back in my face. Chloe emerged from beneath his desk, her eyes puffy and her lipstick smeared. She looked at me with a pained, pleading expression. Miss Hale, I know my place. I would never dare to have improper thoughts about Mr. Right. Please, I beg you, don't make him fire me. I just want to stay here and learn from him. Julian's face darkened instantly. Alara, your jealousy has a limit. Don't go too far, he snapped. A woman who constantly imagines things and flies into a jealous rage like you, who would ever dare to marry you? He then wrapped a protective arm around the softly sobbing Chloe and led her away, leaving me standing there, stunned and utterly humiliated. The office gossip intensified. Isn't Mr. Right engaged to Miss Hale? How could he embarrass her like that in public? He's so protective of Chloe. Maybe those rumors aren't just rumors. Poor Miss Hale. They've been together for 7 years. The 7-year itch is real. I wonder if he'll even marry her now. If he doesn't marry her, who will? After all this time, she's used goods. Those soft, vicious words were like knives, gutting me. I don't remember how I made it home that day, walking in a daze. The man who had sworn to protect me for a lifetime had become the source of my deepest wounds. My parents, noticing my despair, urged me to attend a high-profile auction to distract myself. Buy whatever you like, my father had said. Julian had once snuck me into this very auction house. We were underage, but he had overheard me whisper that a particular necklace was beautiful. He'd then bid an exorbitant price for it, far above its market value, infuriating the company's shareholders and earning him a harsh scolding from his father. Drawn by nostalgia, I instinctively walked towards our old, familiar spot. I froze. There, in that very spot, sat Julian and Chloe, there. Heads bent close together, whispering intimately. The eyes of the room darted between the three of us, feasting on the silent drama. Not wanting to be the subject of their pitying gossip, I turned and walked to the opposite side of the room. As the auction neared its end, the final item was unveiled, the Aurora heart, a pink diamond of legendary size and value, worth billions. My heart clenched. It was the one. The one I had shown him in a magazine years ago, my absolute favorite. He had promised that one day, he would buy it and set it in a ring for me. My gaze shot across the room to Julian. His expression was resolute, his eyes locked on the diamond with an air of absolute determination. The bidding was fierce, each new offer sending a ripple of excitement through the crowd. When Julian called out his final, staggering bid, a hush fell over the room. The whispers began anew. Who was this grand gesture for? It has to be for his fiancée, Miss Hale. Their childhood sweethearts. He's bought her countless treasures at these things. That's old news. Haven't you heard? His new favorite is that secretary, Chloe. Julian walked onto the stage and accepted the priceless gem. He turned and began to walk, step by steady step, directly towards me, just as he had done so many times before. My heart began to pound with a fragile, foolish hope. But then, just as he reached me, his eyes met mine for a fleeting, agonizing moment, a flicker of something that looked like guilt, before he bypassed me. He walked right past, knelt on one knee before Chloe, and presented her with the ring. The room erupted in gasps. Chloe, he said, his voice ringing with emotion for all to hear. If only we had met sooner, before I was bound by an engagement. Chloe shrieked with a mix of surprise and delight, tears of joy streaming down her face. Oh, Julian, I love you, she cried. Then, her expression shifted to one of tragic sacrifice. I don't care what the world thinks of me. As long as I can be by your side, even without a title, I am willing. I will marry you, Chloe, Julian declared. I won't let you suffer any injustice. They kissed, a long, passionate embrace in the center of the room, under the glare of 1,000 eyes. I was the clown in the spotlight. The world dissolved into a blaze of white light, a roaring in my ears, drowning out everything else. The shock was a physical blow, followed by a creeping, hollow numbness. Through the haze, I saw Chloe's eyes meet mine over Julian's shoulder, a look of pure, triumphant provocation. A single tear escaped and traced a cold path down my cheek. I reached up to wipe it away, only to find my face was already wet. I frantically tried to dry my tears, desperate to hide my complete breakdown. Julian had always been so private, so reserved in public. With me, it was always a chaste handhold, never crossing any lines. I thought it was just his quiet nature. I never knew he was capable of such a grand, public declaration of love. I finally understood. Marriage wasn't about timing or stability, it was about impulse, about a love so strong it couldn't be contained. A love we clearly never had. Fine, Julian. I release you. And I will never love you again. I dried my eyes and took a deep, steadying breath. When I turned, I found Julian watching me, his expression unreadably complex. I straightened my spine, refusing to look weak. I knew I must have been a wreck, my eyes swollen, my makeup ruined. I wondered if he had heard the whispers, the pitying remarks. I had always been so proud, but in that moment, I felt fragile as glass. Not that it mattered. He obviously didn't care anymore. I forced myself to meet his gaze. It was the last time I would ever let him see me cry. For a moment, there was a flicker of guilt in his eyes, a ghost of the man I once loved, almost making me believe he still cared. But then he spoke, and the illusion shattered. You heard what I said, Alara. I can't let Chloe go. He paused, as if offering a grand concession. But don't worry, I've discussed it with her. The three of us can be together. I'll give her the title, but I'll give you my love. His words hung in the air, so ludicrous, so utterly devoid of shame, that for a moment I couldn't breathe. This was the man I had loved for 7 years. I will not marry you, I said, my voice quiet but firm. His face clouded over. Do you really think you can find someone better? He sneered. Everyone in this city knows you've been with me for years. Any man who marries you now will just be picking up my leftovers. He leaned in, his voice dropping to a cruel whisper. Or do you want to follow in your poor, dead aunt's footsteps? Is being single really worth dying for? My eyes widened in horror. He knew. He knew about the curse all along. Did he know what it meant for me to be with him without a title, without a commitment? My voice trembled. Was this the point of our 7 years together? So you could humiliate me like this? I would rather die, I whispered, the words tasting like ash, than be with you. Perhaps the look on my face finally registered. He recoiled, a flash of panic in his eyes. I'm sorry, Alara, I didn't mean it, I wasn't thinking. He reached for my hand. Alara, just listen to me. I've always given in to you. For once, can't you just give in to me? I pulled my hand away. I was too exhausted to fight, too broken to even argue. He seemed unnerved by my silence, by the absence of the fight he expected. A flicker of fear crossed his face. I turned and walked away, leaving him standing alone in the echoing hall. The next day, my mother took me to a bridal boutique. I was stunned to learn who my parents had arranged for me to meet. Ethan Cole. His name was a constant presence in conversations among our parents' circle, always accompanied by a litany of enviable achievements and glowing praise. My own memory of him was of a kind, gentle older boy who would always bring me sweets when our families met. I nervously fussed with my makeup, my heart fluttering with a strange mix of anxiety and anticipation. I tried on gown after gown, and the staff showered me with compliments. I could see the profound relief and happiness in my mother's eyes. She was thrilled with this match. For the first time in a long time, it felt like things were moving in the right direction. Until an unwelcome guest arrived. It was Julian. He stared at me in the wedding dress, his eyes a mixture of admiration and utter confusion. Alara, he said, a note of unease in his voice. Why are you wearing a wedding dress? He handed me an invitation. The names Julian Wright and Chloe Moore were embossed in elegant gold script. I stared at them, side by side, and felt nothing. No pain, no jealousy. Just a quiet emptiness. I accepted the invitation and congratulated him, quickly inventing a lie. I'm trying on dresses to be Chloe's bridesmaid. She doesn't have many friends here, you know. Julian looked like he sensed something was off, but he chose to believe me. He smiled, relieved. That's wonderful, Alara. I'm so glad you're being mature about this. It would make me so happy if you and Chloe could become good friends. Just then, his phone rang. It was Chloe, her whining voice audible even from a distance, urging him to come back. He left in a hurry, but not before adding a final instruction. Alara, that dress looks beautiful on you, but maybe you should choose something simpler. We wouldn't want you to outshine the bride. It might upset her. I nodded with a smile that didn't reach my eyes. The moment he was gone, I dropped the invitation into the nearest trash can. With my 25th birthday looming, the timeline for my wedding was incredibly tight. By a stroke of cosmic irony, my wedding day was scheduled for the exact same day as Julian's. On his wedding day, Julian was distracted, his eyes constantly scanning the crowd. As the guests took their seats, he finally asked, "Has anyone seen Alara?" A confused silence fell over the room. The smile on Chloe's face froze. A wild, obsessive look crept into Julian's eyes. She loves me too much. She wouldn't miss my wedding. Is she still angry with me? Is she hiding in a corner somewhere, crying? A mutual friend looked at him, bewildered. Julian, Alara is getting married today. Why would she be here? Yeah, another person chimed in. And she married Ethan Cole. Some people have all the luck. Julian's body went rigid. He turned slowly, his eyes bloodshot and fierce. What, he gritted out, each word a threat, did you just say? The friend, startled by his reaction, held up his phone. You don't believe me? My sister is there right now. Look at her social media. On the screen was a photo of me in my wedding gown. Ethan was kissing my forehead with a look of pure devotion. The entire scene radiated a quiet, blissful happiness. There was not a trace of heartbreak. Julian's composure shattered. His hands began to shake, and a horrifying, broken smile twisted his lips. Ignoring the stunned crowd and Chloe's desperate cries, he stumbled out of his own wedding and ran. I stood at my own wedding reception, gazing at the handsome, dignified man by my side, still feeling as though I were in a dream. Ethan Cole was steady, mature, and effortlessly elegant, the perfect son-in-law my parents had always dreamed of. When they told me their choice, I had agreed without hesitation. The next day, Ethan proposed. For a man accustomed to commanding boardrooms and speaking to massive crowds, he seemed genuinely nervous. His hand trembled slightly as he slid the star of eternity onto my finger. I gasped. The diamond was priceless. Its value exceeding the combined worth of every single item from the auction that fateful night. As our eyes met, I saw such tenderness in his that I had the distinct, startling feeling that he was deeply in love with me. When our families met, Ethan's younger sister, Lily, immediately threw her arms around me. Sister-in-law. I'm so happy to finally meet you. You're even more beautiful than in the pictures. I looked at her, confused. Ethan shot her a warning look. Lily just giggled. Oh, don't you know, Alara? My quiet, brooding brother has been obsessed with you for MMPH. Ethan clapped a hand over her mouth before she could finish, playfully shooing her away. His parents were just as warm. His mother took my hand gently. My dear child, she said, her eyes full of sympathy. You've been through too much. They handled every detail of the wedding with meticulous care, refusing to let the rushed timeline compromise a single thing. Our parents got along instantly, and by the end of dinner, they were already planning a joint family vacation. Throughout the evening, Ethan was the epitome of thoughtfulness. He pulled out my chair, warmed my utensils, and kept my teacup full. He had even researched my favorite foods and had driven across the city to buy a slice of my favorite matcha cake. A few days later, Lily invited me to their family home. She soon sent me on an errand to find something for her in Ethan's study. Inside, my eyes landed on a dusty, old box. The lock was rusted shut. Though my curiosity was piqued, I decided to leave it alone. As I turned, I saw him leaning against the doorframe, arms crossed, a knowing smile playing on his lips. Caught red-handed. I stammered, feeling inexplicably guilty even though I had done nothing. He raised an eyebrow, his smile widening. "Why don't you open it?" he asked, his voice a soft, tempting murmur. I pried open the rusted clasp. Inside, nestled on faded velvet, was a photograph. A picture of me, carefully snipped from our high school graduation photo. My heart hammered against my ribs. I clutched the box, my fingers tight, trying to hide my trembling. "You." He walked slowly towards me, the smile in his eyes deepening. "I'm so happy you finally found it," he said softly. "Elara, I'm sorry. I've been in love with you since high school. But you already had Julian by your side. I knew my feelings would only cause you trouble. Your happiness was all that mattered, so I stayed away." He took a breath. "When I heard what happened, and that your parents were looking for a suitable husband for you, I gathered all my courage and put myself forward. Elara, before I met you, I never thought about marriage. After I met you, I never thought about marrying anyone else. All these years." Ethan Cole, the brilliant, unattainable man everyone admired, had been secretly in love with me. What I thought was a marriage of convenience was actually the culmination of a decade-long, silent love. After the wedding, as we were bidding farewell to the last of our friends and family, a figure burst through the doors, disheveled and frantic. It was Julian. In just a few days, he had become a haggard wreck, his eyes bloodshot and raw. He stared at me, his voice a cocktail of rage, confusion, and a strange, wounded disbelief. "Elara. They all said you got married. I don't believe them. This is a lie, a sick joke you're playing to punish me, right?" I held up my marriage certificate. The bright red booklet seared his eyes. "It's fake." "It has to be," he snarled, grabbing for it. "It has the official seal," I said calmly. The photograph, the names, the date, it was all there in undeniable clarity. The truth washed over him, and his expression crumpled into something between a laugh and a sob. "Elara, how could you? How could you be so cruel as to marry someone else?" His voice cracked. "Our 7 years. I don't believe you don't love me anymore." Before he could continue, Ethan stepped forward. "Mr. Wright. My wife and I appreciate you coming all this way to congratulate us. A pity you missed the ceremony." The sight of Ethan standing protectively by my side sent Julian into a rage. "Ethan. What right do you have to be her husband? Elara and I grew up together. You think you can just come between us?" Ethan's polite smile never faltered. "But Elara is my legal wife now." "And you, Mr. Wright, are what, exactly?" Julian paled. "You don't even love her, Ethan. Why did you marry her? Let her go." At that, Ethan's smile vanished. A smirk of pure disdain replaced it. "Who said I don't love her? I am madly in love with my wife. You, on the other hand, were the one who broke her heart. You have no right to even be in her presence." Julian had no reply. "I have nothing more to say to you, Julian. Please leave," I said, my voice flat. "But you don't love him," he pleaded, his desperation mounting. "You won't be happy in a loveless marriage. Come back to me, Elara. I'm the only one who can make you happy." I let out a cold, sharp laugh. "But I don't love you either. From now on, Julian, we go our separate ways." That was the final blow. A sick, obsessive craze filled his eyes. "I don't accept it. Elara, don't be with him. I'll take you away from here. We are the ones who are meant to be." His gaze fell on our clasped hands, on the gleaming wedding bands. His eyes darkened, his hands clenching into fists. He lunged, swinging a wild punch at Ethan. Ethan could have easily dodged it. I saw him shift his weight, but at the last second, he only tilted his head slightly, allowing the punch to graze his cheek. It wasn't a hard hit, but it left an angry red mark. Hiss, Ethan winced, turning his head as if in terrible pain. I rushed to his side, my heart leaping into my throat. Are you okay? I'm fine, my love. It doesn't hurt, he said, giving me a reassuring but slightly wounded smile. My anger at Julian boiled over. Julian. What is wrong with you? Why would you hit him? When did you become so unreasonable? He was stunned that I would defend Ethan. He's faking it. Elara. I barely touched him. Don't let him fool you, he's not a good person. He saw the faint, knowing smile on Ethan's face and lost all control. Stop acting, Ethan. You manipulative snake, tell her the truth. Enough. I snapped. You've ruined my wedding. I don't want you here. We are not friends anymore. Julian tried to grab me, but Ethan moved between us, his expression now ice cold. Julian, this is your final warning. Stay away from my wife. If you continue to harass her, I will not be so restrained. Just then, Chloe came running in, a mess of smeared makeup and a dirty wedding dress. Julian, please, she sobbed, grabbing his arm. Come back with me. We are supposed to be married. He shoved her away violently. I'm not marrying you. I love Elara. Only Elara deserves to be my wife. Chloe stumbled and fell. She crawled on her knees towards me. Miss Hale, please, I'm begging you. Please let him go. I took a step back, wary of this new, desperate act. My mind flashed back to the day of the auction, to her taunting words. So. What if you're a rich heiress? You still couldn't keep your man. All it took was a little sob story, and he was putty in my hands. My family sponsored your entire education, I said, my voice low and heavy with disappointment. We saw your potential and wanted you to change your destiny. We never thought you would betray us like this. My words struck a nerve. Her face twisted with a deep-seated hatred. Shut up. Elara, you people who are born with silver spoons have no idea. You have everything, so you can afford to be noble and gracious. Do you have any clue what my life was? Like? I was nearly drowned in a rice bin at birth because I wasn't a boy. I had to fight for every scrap of food, for every breath I took. My only assets are my youth and my face, and I used them. I was just seizing my one chance to change my fate. I fell silent. I had offered her a helping hand, and she had used it to climb over me. Her pleading brought me back to the present. Elara, I know you're kind. Please, just give Julian back to me. I was wrong to spread those rumors. Enough, I interrupted. I want no part in your drama. My life has nothing to do with either of you anymore. Suddenly, Julian turned on Chloe, his eyes burning with a new fury. Elara never bullied you. Why did you lie? Why did you drive us apart? My mother, who had been watching with simmering rage, finally stepped in. Get out, she screamed, slapping both of them across the face. Both of you, get out of my daughter's life. Consider the money we spent on you the price of feeding a viper. Now stay away from her. The farce was finally over. I heard later that Julian and Chloe filed for divorce that very day. He didn't give up. He sent messages through mutual friends. A marriage can end in divorce. I will wait for Elara. I will wait forever. When the message reached Ethan, he just laughed. My wife's marital status can only change through widowhood, not divorce. Julian's haunting presence faded from my life. I assumed he had finally given up. It wasn't until Lily let it slip one day that I understood. Oh, you didn't know, Elara? With our families merged, and with Ethan's business acumen, we've acquired many of the sectors the Wright Corporation used to monopolize. She added, Julian's a mess now. Drowning himself in alcohol, picked up a gambling habit in Macau. His father is in the hospital from the stress, and his mother is a wreck. The Wright family fortune is crumbling in his hands. He got what he deserved. No one messes with my sister-in-law while my brother is around. I was momentarily surprised, then smiled with a sense of peaceful release. A shattered mirror can never be made whole. He was no longer my concern. Married life with Ethan was a seamless discovery of shared joys. For our honeymoon, he suggested a cruise to Antarctica to see the emperor penguins, my favorite animal. I immediately agreed. Our refrigerator was always stocked with matcha cake, which he claimed was his favorite, too. He knew all my preferences, my habits, even my monthly cycle, always ready with hot water bottles and painkillers before the cramps even began. He handed over all his finances, declaring, "It's only natural for my wife to manage the money." I felt unbelievably lucky to have found someone so perfectly in sync with me. 6 months later, Chloe's name surfaced in a grim news report. After the divorce, the scandal had made her unemployable in our city. Having neglected her professional skills while relying on Julian's favor, she had resorted to her old ways in a new town, trying to latch onto another wealthy man. But this time, the man's wife was not so forgiving. She hired thugs who beat Chloe, stripped her, and left her on the street. The trauma broke her. Her mind snapped. She returned to our city, her sanity gone, and waited for Julian on a street he frequented. When he stumbled out of a bar, drunk and alone, she attacked him with a knife. The police found him in a pool of blood, stabbed multiple times. The Wright family, what was left of it, spent a fortune to save his life, but he was destined to spend the rest of his days as an invalid, confined to a hospital bed. Chloe was found muttering, "You ruined me, Julian, I'll kill you." She was diagnosed with a severe mental illness, sparing her legal punishment. But the Wright family's retribution, I imagined, would be far more terrible. Day by day, my love for Ethan grew deeper. I once thought my happiness was tied to Julian. Now I know that I was the source of the happiness all along. It doesn't matter who stands under the cherry blossom tree, the blossoms make the moment beautiful. My love makes the person I give it to fortunate.